I just want to thank you so much, Jason, for being on the We Don't Play podcast show. It's an honor to have you here today. How are you doing?
Everything's going well. We just had the Owwll podcast this morning, episode number 4 that we just recently launched. So having a good day. Good things are happening all around us. So I'm excited to be on your show.
Amazing. Definitely. I know people will definitely love to connect with you on that podcast. What's the name of the podcast so they can also subscribe to it too?
Same as our brand, the Owwll podcast. That's with 2 W's and 2 L's. We're streaming on Facebook Live currently, so you can watch the entire in-person experience. We do it live in person. We had a guest today, Will Kesselman, on our show, and Jemmy Laganyard. She's the host of Podfest. She's jumping in every week in our in-person studio, so it's a lot of fun to have a new co-host of a show, and we're eventually going to be on all the apps. So by the time someone listens to this, we'll probably be on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify, wherever you catch your podcast these days. It's everywhere, right? But yeah, it's a fun experience. We're interviewing the best and brightest experts from the Owwll platform, or people that are big influencers and expertise that will be joining the Owwll platform in the future. You know, that's a requirement to join us on the show.
Nice. This is exciting. I'm so thrilled to hear this because I've never heard about an app like this. And I'm sure people are wondering, what is Owwll app? What is the Owwll app? I would love for you to tell us more about you and what you're bringing to the forefront, especially to our amazing industry.
Yeah, because our app is going to be a game changer in the future to a lot of different verticals, right? Lots of times people see this app, they hear about it, they're like, "What's the big deal?" You could call an expert immediately, right? But I could do that on my cell phone. I could call an expert, right? I could look up on the internet an answer, and I could call a local business to get expertise. But that's not what it's about. We're the first platform where we're not sharing that person's email. We're not sharing that person's phone number. It's in-app phone call. It's not being recorded. So what's amazing with our platform is you can literally search and filter through different types of experts like yourself, right? You're an example where if I'm a business owner and I want to learn about search engine optimization, I could literally filter down to that expertise and you would show up. Right, and if you were live, right, at this given moment right now, right, I could literally click your profile, click the call button, and immediately your phone's ringing on the other end, and you don't have my cell phone, I don't have your cell phone number, and immediately we're looking at each other's profiles, and you have someone that wants to pick your brain as an expert, and you're getting paid, to chat with me. And the best part is if I want to take things further, we can take it outside the platform, right? We could go over to Zoom, we go over in person, and then eventually you could, have a client that signs up, our customer, and I'm happy because I was looking for that exact expert out there. But the platform is very safe and secure because the platform is giving reviews for the advice seeker and the advice giver. So at the end of the day, I know who I'm speaking to. I trust you already going in because I see you have 20, 30 reviews, and I see your review score. Is it a 4? Is it a 5 or a 2? Right? So, each person calling you, is giving back to the next person that calls you, and people have to act very professional because they don't want to hurt their review score over time. And how cool is it that you could be an expert on one end, but then all of a sudden turn around, use the same money you just earned and call other experts, because none of us have all the knowledge. It doesn't matter if you're Elon Musk, he relies on experts every day, and he's willing to pay for the best and brightest experts, right, and get them at his fingertips, right? There's no other platform you can immediately connect to somebody that's live, and if they're not live on our platform, you click one button to request that they go live, and it will send them a text message if they have text preferences set up, or a notification or an email. And how cool is it that you have to have enough money in your digital wallet to use that feature? So we have large influencers like Gary Vee one day will join our app and charges $10,000 for 10 minutes, right? You click it, he's not going to get that text if he has $0, but Elon Musk clicks it, wants to talk to Gary, why not? He doesn't care about $10,000. And Gary will go live for Elon. He's like, Gary, sees a text message, Elon wants to speak to you. He'll find 10 minutes in his day to jump in there. And the beauty of our platform is once you start with 10 minutes, you could then extend. You could, on the spot, ask for another 10 or 20 minutes, and that expert can accept or deny it. If they're not feeling it, just deny it. Say that they have another meeting coming up, or if they really do have another meeting coming up, right, they say nicely, hey, I can't take the other, extension that you requested. I have a Zoom meeting, right behind this call, but follow me and it will notify me, the next time I am available to chat. So we're the only platform that literally an expert can go live at a moment's notice with a timer mechanism, very similar to how Uber, designed their platform, where Uber, literally you jump in your own personal vehicle, set the timer, I'm available, and then you get a ping that there's someone that needs a ride, right? Ours is the expert. That's why people call us the Uber of advice, is the expert goes live, they set themselves available for 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, whatever it might be, and it just tells all the people following them, this person can chat right now. They're welcoming it, and it really creates amazing boundaries because no one can talk your ear off, right? There's a timer, right there. They got to get to the point, and the beauty is collaboration, right? At the end of the day, no one cares about making 10, 20 bucks for a 10, 20-minute call. It's that, you're collaborating with the right community. So Owwll's really been built on the community aspect, and people are falling in love with it because they love connecting immediately. And we look at platforms like LinkedIn, it's like we spent all this time messaging, connecting, posting. Then if I ask you a favor, how many people have you done business with on LinkedIn? And be honest, what would you say?
Whew. I did not see this question coming. On LinkedIn, I don't even have a number. It's minimal. Because
I do post every day, and I don't get anything. Occasionally,
right.
Someone says to come on my podcast show. But I'm also a financial advisor. Ready for this? 0. I've gotten 0 clients from being a financial advisor after posting it. I used to post about financial topics in the past, and then I switched gears to just posting about my podcast, The Shrimp Tank. But 0, right? So when we look at like how much time that we're doing trying to get clients on that platform, right? It ends up not working that well. But Owwll, you literally right now go in and start calling experts for $1 or $5, and look at how valuable it was. You spend $50 in a day, right? But now you have real relationships that you built, and over time those will turn into business. So that's where people also are saying we're LinkedIn on steroids, because it's not just for advice seekers, advice givers, it's networking, right? There's a huge scenario that you could just make a play for networking, and we might become that. We might become the #1 networking app, in the world, right? It doesn't always have to be about advice giving at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's a great concept. And when I think about Owwll, in itself, when you think about the animal, when you think about businesses and you're like, oh, this business is panther, this business is a swan, this business is a tiger, why is Owwll the way Owwll is?
Yeah, so for everyone listening or watching, I should say, there's that logo of ours, 2 W's because Owls are wise, 2 L's because you're going to love it, right? So Owwll, came when we were designing the platform. I had this great idea, and the developer sat down with me and said, you need a name within 24 to 48 hours because we have to start building it on all the wireframes, all the frames of this platform, but we were considering being built. And I was on Google looking at animals like sharks are really quick, so that might work. Or like a mako we were thinking about. And then somewhere like Owwll came around, and it just clicked like immediately, like the bird of wisdom and intelligence. And then I bought the domain name immediately because it was available with 2 W's and 2 L's. Of course, OWL is not available, right? There's gazillion brands or mascots that have owls, but what I really loved also was it already had a lot of oomph to it, right? A lot of people trust it already, and we've gotten a lot of downloads and likes on Facebook because they just like our logo, or they just feel the energy, they feel the vibe immediately, that they just sense something's good about this platform. I sense it, and they message me all the time afterwards that exact statement, and they do an Owwll call, and they're like, I was right. I knew that there was something to this logo that I saw on the internet. So yeah, we're excited, to keep branding Owwll, and one day be someone just built a little icon like Facebook and Instagram does, social media link, where it's like Owwll will be one of those links one day. How cool will that be?
That's amazing. I think that's really the future right now, because when you think about 5-10 years from now, we're going into a place where, as Mark Zuckerberg said it, right? He said it really well. He said the future of business is private. And when you have private conversations that are not locked doors, but they're closed doors, which you can easily open at any time, like Owwll,
yes,
it changes conversations.
It does. And you're big on search engine optimization and Google searches and YouTube searches, right? Those are the number 2 places where people need to get an answer to something. They immediately go today. And we've all been frustrated because what happens on SEO is, someone like you knows how to figure a way how to get articles to the top, right? But often those articles have old information listed, but there's highly ranked pages, and there's no one on the other end you could speak with. So sometimes you end up reading this whole large article. It takes you 30 minutes to read, and you're like, I could have just called someone to give me that 1 minute answer that I needed. And the same thing's happening on YouTube. Like, what gets the most likes is what they're being built for. And at the end of the day, we all sat there watching a 30-minute YouTube video, and we're like, that was the wrong video, right? And then we have to go to another one, and then we finally get on minute 26. And we've all been there. I would have just wished I could call someone, but it's not so easy. Like, how do you filter, to call a specific type of expert? You want a patent attorney? You Google patent attorneys, and you use Google again to look at all the reviews. But then you're stuck waiting 3 weeks, or 2 weeks to get in touch with that attorney one-on-one typically, right? But with Owwll, you could look for that patent attorney immediately, connect with 5, right? And then after you kind of talk to 5, maybe they're $10, $20 each, but then you made the right decision. You got the opportunity to chat one-on-one and not feel pressure to hire them, and then hire that one. So it's really unique that you could also utilize it as a way to kind of interview the best experts and then hire the best ones, that you feel, the best going with it at the end of the day.
That is so true. And you can only do business with people that you like. I've never heard somebody that doesn't like the person and does business with them. It's unlikely.
Well, surprisingly, Facebook figured that out, right? They don't give you anyone you can email or call. And a lot of big brands have no force but to use Facebook ads. And then they get denied the ad and they resubmit it. They don't know why it's being denied. And I think that comes to the point people are getting frustrated, right? Frustrated that there isn't someone that could just have a quick 1 minute call back. What's wrong with my head, right? How did we go to this type of, platform where, it's dominating, where you just submit stuff and hope that it goes through at times, or things get pulled down and you do not know why, or accounts get suspended. So it is a scary time when some of these bigger social media outlets can have a lot of control, of course, with the approval process, when big businesses, or small businesses for that matter, really operate through ads. So what's cool with Owwll is there is no ads currently, right? And you never know where it will go in the future, but it's just genuine one-on-one connection, right? And then you could speak to people on Owwll, that are going through the same thing that you're going if you want to learn how to use the features, or even call us. We have Owwll Academy listed, and one day we're just going to have a lot of Owwll Academies, or Owwll this, Owwll that, where people could just call and ask questions to our customer service, right? We'll just leave them live all the time, right? And it's really simple for us to do one day. We're really excited to be that differentiator, the platform that actually, allows people to get in touch with them easier and doesn't hide from it, right? Where we're seeing a lot of issues with data today. And that's why Apple announced last month that any app has to have a delete function to delete person's data, right? Because they were getting sick and tired of all these big platforms, gathering all this data and then reselling it at the end of the day, right? So now Apple's, the first big company that obviously has a lot of control, because your apps get approved through the App Store, and they're forcing all these brands to have a hard delete function, because it's not fair to you, if you signed up on Facebook and then you want to delete that data, that Facebook, can keep that data forever, right? No, they should be deleting it and not storing it, in their clouds, so that's where we're heading. There's going to be more of that going on because people are just getting tired of it, right?
Yeah, that is so true. As you were mentioning this, I was now thinking about the person who is thinking about Owwll for the first time, and they're wondering, okay, I'm on Android or I'm on iPhone, and I really want to get this app. I want to start. What are the things they should be looking out for? Because most times people start on an app and they're by themselves, or they ask a friend, hey, I couldn't go through this. I know there's an Owwll Academy, but how does this one person start, and how do they get through this process successfully?
It's a great question, because I think with all new things, in life, we always have fear, right? We step in to public speaking and it's nervous. Your first podcast, my first podcast, right? What are people going to think? They're going to listen to everything that's recorded, right? But we all start there, and then we overcome it, and we learn from others. And that's what Owwll is all about, is learning from others. So I would say get in there, and we're giving $10 right now as a bonus when they use your referral code, which is FM7602788. And the beauty of Owwll is you could just make a call or two. Right? A lot of people are $1, $5, $10, and just test it out. Talk to that other individual. They've raised their hand. They're welcoming incoming calls. So the best thing to do is just call, and maybe you're not really looking for advice. You're just looking to have a conversation about Owwll. I would look for people with high reviews. So if someone has 50 to 300 reviews, that's a good thing. They know how to use Owwll, and they're going to give you pointers. And to them, they just built a relationship with a new Owwll expert on the platform or a new advice seeker. So they're all welcoming these calls. So it's a nice thing to just jump in there and make a call or two, and then take the step to become an expert. There's a toggle switch. You have to fill in your social media handles, and we verify it is who you say you are, because we want a professional platform with pictures of your profile, your name. We're not trying to have a random logo and a fake name. That's not. No one would want to trust calling somebody they didn't know who they were speaking to at the end of the day. So that is also where we separate ourselves compared to other platforms like Instagram as a sample, or TikTok. And just get in there, become an expert, and then take a couple calls. Leave your price low, right? I see one issue is people become experts, they haven't made a call, and they charge $30 for an incoming call, and I get it. Right, that's your expertise, and that's what you charge elsewhere. But this is a platform that you've never used before, right? You could switch your price from $30 in 5 seconds, literally, by hitting a profile. So why not start low, and just give knowledge out for free in the early days. Get your reviews up to 5 or 10, and then jump, to increasing it to $5, $10, $30, because these are audio calls, meaning that it's not a Zoomed meeting where you already knew who was calling, you knew the agenda, right? This is someone calling you out of the blue, and you have to give answers, like we're doing podcasting right off the cuff, right? So I look at it as like, because of that, start with a lower price point and look at the value of building a client or customer after they get to know you, because eventually they're going to call you back if they like you, and then eventually you could charge your normal rates, when you jump to your ordinary business, your ordinary process, right? If that is a business where you educate people how to start a podcast and scale a podcast, that's a great example. Well, eventually they're going to ask to go on Zoom, and you'll sell them, your typical startup package, $5,000. That's more impactful, $5,000. I'm worrying about, $5 versus $20 for a 10-minute call, right? So I look at it from that lens, and there will be people that argue with me that say, well, no, I'm not going to devalue myself. And I will say, oh, that's good. Well, then bring your audience into Owwll then, right? If that's the case and you have an audience that has that type of demand that wants to speak to you, well, then my answer is always back. Well, then post on Instagram in your story, share your Owwll profile. There's a link to it. When people come into the platform, they come right to your link, and they want to speak to you, and tell your audience when you will be live on the platform. Because if that is the case, then you should have no problem getting, those calls from your current audience, not the Owwll audience, which is the people on the platform. Because then think about it, there's hundreds of experts on the platform with different types of expertises. What's the odds if we have 1,000 people on the platform that they want to call that specific expert and spend that much money, right? The percentage goes down. So you have to be realistic. Are you using the platform for networking, or using it to serve your audience? And that is interesting. Our platform serves an audience like celebrities and musicians. They don't like giving out their cell phone. They don't like giving out their email, and it creates great boundaries for them. So the beauty is our platform is great for them too, like a Cameo, version for audio, right? Because now instead of Cameo, you got to show your face, where this thing's getting posted after you do the video, and it takes them a lot of time, right? They got to be on Cameo. They got to record 2-3 times to get the message right that they're reading, and they have to do it within 7 days. Well, Owwll, do it whenever you want. Do it once a month. Do it once a year. Do it once a day, right? If you're a celebrity. But what's cool is those celebrities will get opportunities too, because somebody might be calling a celebrity and it's not a fan. It's someone like you or I saying, hey, I have this big event, and I know you're down the block, so you don't have to fly in for it. I need a public speaker at a moment's notice. Are you available on Friday? Doing a 15-minute talk, and I'll pay you $3,000. Like, think about the benefit, that this could, do to musicians, celebrities, just getting access. You know how many times I've had money in the air flopping to be like, I need a guest speaker, I need something, and just like, you can't get through it. It's in their Instagram account, in their spam probably, or LinkedIn, you're not connected, and you're like, I just want to hire this person. They didn't respond. We shouldn't have to beg to hire somebody, right? So I think it's going to do wonders, for that world, the entertainment world, for that matter, but also, be a voice to their fans and make another access point. So if you like Cameo, you're going to like Owwll. Right? If you don't like Cameo, probably not going to like Owwll. Right? It's going to go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Probably.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much for this information, because now I feel like people are now more confident to take on this challenge and actually consider it as an opportunity for them to grow and expand, because most times people get on social media and they're like, I don't know where to start, I don't have any followers, I don't know what to do, and now they start getting kind of resented. There's that kind of resentment to the app in a way.
And I like you brought that up, because somebody had that resentment in the community, and they posted that no one calls them. And I love the question. Someone said, well, immediately people think to fight back, right? Their initial is like, push me, push back, right? I love the question, because it's everything I just went over. Is I looked at the person's profile and immediately saw no calls made and charging too high. Right, and then I also looked at the profile, one social media handle linked, and 2 sentences on the bio. So immediately, think about it. If you're a purchaser, why would you purchase from this individual if there's such limited information? You don't trust them, right? The more information, the more trustworthy you are. The more social media handles you link. If I link to your Instagram account, I see 5,000-6,000 people connected. So all of a sudden, I see you posting every day. Immediately, I'm like, oh, this person is an expert on SEO and marketing, right? But if it shows 14 people on your Instagram handle, am I really going to spend more money to test calling you? Right? It doesn't add up. And then they didn't take the time to call somebody else to get a review to even try it on the other end. So look at it. And then also I openly had a dialogue, on Facebook, and then they came into a Clubhouse room, and we had an open dialogue. And since that open dialogue, I've seen that person go live every single week since, and generate over 5 to 7 calls since, either taken or made. And the point is, it's just setting expectations right and sharing that knowledge, what I just went through. And then all of a sudden, it clicks, right? It's no different than, when we were all on LinkedIn. Remember the early days of LinkedIn, you would just post, I could sell you this, like you were a salesperson.
Right.
You're like, I'm a financial advisor. Work with me if you need help for financial advice. And then every person, you need marketing help, call me. And then we all started scratching around like, this isn't working. Right? Soliciting does not work. And then it just became a bunch of posts. And then people started realizing it's about engagement, it's about giving value, right? And people started to learn that on Instagram and TikTok today, right? And Owwll's no different, but I think people first jump to, I'm an expert, people should pay me. So they go live and have an expectation that, immediately people should call them. But they don't realize, people don't know who you are. You have to show them. You have to provide value. Go in there, call 20 people, get 20 reasons an advice seeker. Make those people say, that person was great, ask great questions. Because it doesn't always have to be about advice giving, right? It's just about just sharing knowledge with the world, even if the person you're paying, to speak with. So that's where networking is such a big part of this platform. And it could become, that it's more for networking over time, right? Because I think what we are seeing is the amount of collaborations, even our podcast today, happened because we were just networking on Owwll, right? And we got to generally meet and have a connection now on a podcast, and there's no other platform that would have done that, right?
Yeah.
LinkedIn, Instagram, we would have traded messages back and forth. But the odds of us jumping, to where we are today is way lower percentage-wise. But Owwll, just driving home one night, I called you, and where we are today.
I remember, right? Yeah, because when you called me and that was the first call I got on the app, I was thrilled because I don't see that. It's like, imagine the founder of an app calling you. That is like the best way to start, because people feel like, oh, I'm on this app, nobody's called me, all they want to do is take my money. But this is more like you're giving your time, you're giving your money, and that's something a lot of people really hold back because they're like, no, I don't have time for this, I'm busy. But if you have 10 minutes out of 24 hours and you spent it correctly, it has opened up doors like this, which has led to our podcast. From the podcast, it gets to collaborations, it gets to events. So people don't think about the macro. They kind of focus more on the micro, and they don't scale towards the macro with that intention of actually serving.
Of course. And it does wonders the more seeds you plant over time and not worry about the money.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not worried about, money right now doing a podcast, or this morning doing a podcast. I just plant seeds and I give good. And I know I've always said this from day one, even in the financial service business, because you get a lot of coaches to say, well, you got to stop working with this or this. And I'm just like, no. I was like, I feel good as a human giving back. I know that client might not be the right fit for our firm, but I could still spend an extra 10, 20 minutes, educating them on what to do with their finances, because I left them in a better position then. And one day they'll become wealthy, right? Maybe they'll hit the lottery. Who are they going to call? Jason, the person that helped them when they had nothing, right? So I look at it as like, just do good and don't worry so much about, everything has to be money, right? It's not about that, and that's all about Owwll, the community we built, right? Why we have 600 people growing in a Facebook group that are just sharing ideas about what features to build, and I take that to heart. Features that you will mention in that Facebook group will get built. It's so cool, right? And we had Owwll Week last week. People were on each other's podcast shows. We donate all revenue to Place of Hope, and we're helping the local community, of course, get advice and knowledge, right? Because they're a charity, but they need mentors. They need people paying it forward. So it's just fun to kind of do it on a platform, but then do it in real life as well, where we were, donating our time, and giving back, to local charities, of course, that are in need. So yeah, it's been a fun ride so far building this, and I can't wait to see it scale.
This is beautiful, and I love the initiative because it's a very true incentive to intentionally help people and also give back to the community, because people need to be heard. Some people have never gotten a call all year. It may sound absurd, but it's true. So when you think about the intention about serving and giving people that time and valuing their time and talking to them, it really goes a long way. And even the features I love on the app so far, when it comes to the videos, which I intend to do in this next week, is to put videos there. And I'm already thinking about like putting little 30-second segments of masterclasses I've already done, or maybe audio clips I've done before. But I wanted to also like bring this to your attention so that maybe you could help the people listening know how best they can use those features, because they don't want to dump videos there just for the sake of dumping videos. But what kind of video should they do to alter those calls or to trigger those calls?
Yeah, so what's nice with the videos is people could see who you are, and it builds more trust, where we know that you could put things in your bio, but copy is hard, right? People read really quickly, and more often they just want to see a quick 20-second, 30-second clip. They don't want it that long. So our videos go 10 to 60 seconds long, and what's nice, they're full vertical screen. So I would just, if I were you or someone else, I would try not to go crazy editing. Take your iPhone, point it the other direction, and just speak from the heart like we're doing right now. Tell people, a little bit about yourself. I think people like knowing who you are as an individual, not so much always about business.
Yeah.
If I were going to do it, I'd be like, hey, this is Jason Hill, right? I'm from New York. I love sports. I love boating. I'm a family person, 2 children. I moved to Florida. I run podcasts. I also am the founder of the Owwll platform. Do you want to chat about building, a platform like Owwll, and you have questions about app development, or you are a podcaster that wants to pick my brain about how I do my in-person show, give me a ring. I'm happy to chat one day. So just like that, keep it just genuine. Keep it simple. Don't make it just like salesy, 101, because no one's gonna care. They're like, oh, this person I'm gonna call, and they're gonna solicit me, right? So just share about who you are, and then other things you could do, because you could have more than one video, is share a tip. Something I just learned, I'm like mind-boggled the things you learn on TikTok sometimes. It's like if you hold an arrow after drawing on an iPhone screen, it will actually make a perfect arrow. So it's not the sloppy one. Or you would do a star, it will make, and hold it, it will make perfect. I was like, whoa. And then I learned like a delete function on all my other screens by holding down a button. So it's like these little things that we learn from something as simple as that, right? Other people are like, wow, this person knows a lot of little tricks to running a business that save minutes per day, right? And look more professional. I want to pick his brain about podcasts. I want to pick his brain about other things. A lot of the times, it's you're educating something about one thing on a video. The conversation completely turns while you're on that audio call, right? It's just what caught their attention that made you different. And you're in a world that is exactly the scenario. Like, what makes you different in the search engine optimization space, in the social media space, in the marketing space, right? There's so many pieces. That's a crowded environment. Right, you could literally graduate college, and all of a sudden, like everyone, because you use an Instagram account, you're a social media expert. Right, we see this all the time.
Right,
and then they come to me like, "Hey, Jason, let me run your Shrimp Tank Boca account. We could grow it and scale it." And we just see that nonstop. You're laughing because you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Same with podcasting with me, but there's always a difference. There's a reason, why you have a business, why you're able to hit payroll, why you're able to have brands stay with you, and you're not playing this retention game where they're just leaving every 3 months after hiring you because there's no results on SEO, which is a common SEO issue that people think that you're immediately going to be ranked number 1 in Google and leads are going to pour in, right? Not the case, right?
This is
maybe
so
I'm wrong.
true.
Maybe you are the guy that get me to do that.
That is so true. You're right, because a lot of people say, you know, when they come on board, they're like, what's your goal? Because we usually ask them 4 questions. Are you looking to build awareness, you know, gain traffic, increase your revenue, or just pretty much be online and have that online presence as a whole? And most times people are like, I just want to be on page 1. I'm like, yeah, we can promise you that, but there's more to that. Like, there are more technical things that we can help you with that can help you get more pages on number 1 than focusing on that one page that you may not get the right client or the right clientele. So it's really important to think about like what you said, because it's really about giving and just being present, because the more present you are, the more people know that, okay, my future is safe because this person is present with me.
Yeah.
That
and try not to help everybody. Like, everyone goes after masses on social media because they just want to be able to post, make money, right? Instead, we just talked about this on our podcast. Just form one genuine relationship per week, right? That's what I do on the Shrimp Tank, where we interview entrepreneurs from South Florida in person. And everyone always asks me, Jason, why don't you go to these networking events you're always invited to? And I go, I don't have the time. Like, I don't have time to go to a room, collect 20 business cards, and then, you know, half at it, right? And try to email them, try to get on a meeting. It's like, I just don't have that time. I'd rather have that person jump on a podcast show and have one genuine business owner I meet per week on the Shrimp Tank, and then email that guest afterwards saying, hey, let's grab a bite, you know, for lunch. And my podcast host, Jemmy, she's the host of Podfest, yearly Podfest podcast. She's now my co-host, but it was literally that turned into a relationship. It went from her coming on the Shrimp Tank podcast 4 years ago. I said, why don't we grab lunch? We grabbed lunch, you know, 5 minutes down the block from one another. And then since then, she's been referring me. I've been referring her. She's an expert at podcasting, right? And that's her dollar right there. She signed an autographed dollar. It's real up there. And she was my first sponsor. We joked about it when we went to lunch. Like, got no sponsors. Why not use me? I go, well, it's going to cost you $1. Start things off. So it's just amazing how if you take a little bit more time with less people, more things will, you know, unravel long term for you. But more people are chasing the likes and the follows, and that works for some. But statistically, it's not going to work for many, right? There's just not going to be that many billionaires, millionaires coming from posts. There's so much saturation right now on the internet from all these platforms, and there's more platforms coming out. So then you're getting less impressions for all your posts. So I think at the end of the day, it comes back to what it always was. You know, it's growing your network, and Owwll definitely is that tool that can do it at an advanced speed if you do it right. If you do it wrong, it's going to work like every other platform. You're going to sign up and say, no one calls me, it sucks, right? Do it right, you're going to go like, holy crap. You know, I just talked to, you know, a doctor on the app. I just talked to a marketing expert on the app. I just talked to Will Kesslerman, works for New York City, a narcissist expert in their special division, right? Like the craziest stuff that we have an actress from American Horror Story. What's her last name? Grossman. Then we have the person who wrote the last 2 Saw movies and the current one coming up on Halloween.
Wow.
So it's like, where else can you just at your fingertips click up buttons and call them if they're not live, or if they are live, call them, right? So it's just so cool to have a platform like this, and the other people on the other end are welcoming it. It's different on these other platforms where you're soliciting them in their inbox, and it's annoying to get 75 LinkedIn messages every week at least that are just, Jason, work with me. I could build your clients by 10x, right? Jason, work with me. I can help you on your website. I saw, I have like 8 websites. If you Google me, you could help me on many of them, sure. But at the end of the day, it's like, obviously I have someone if there's 8 websites out there, right? And obviously things exist for certain reasons that they may not know, because I'm in a compliance situation in a financial network, so you can't do everything you want due to certain regulations with FINRA SEC.
Right.
So at the end of the day, it's like, you know, people just jump like, you got to work with me. It's like, you know, like, did you even like my post? Did you even comment on my post? Do that 10 times and then say, hey, would you like to grab breakfast?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Would you like to jump on Zoom? Like, why does everyone go right for the sale? Because that's the easiest, action, right? But that doesn't work. You send 100 messages out, you're gonna get 0 sales. If you called 5 people an hour and just called them back in a month, another 5 calls, and then another 5, and then eventually I bet you one of those turns into something.
100%.
Either you're going to be on their show, and then the show will turn into business. You're going to meet one of them in person, and then that's going to lead to business. Because it doesn't matter what your expertise is, like, something's going to lead to business. You are working in the marketing world. At some point, I need your services. The more I get to know you, I'll be like, hey, can you do this for me? I need this. Or vice versa. If I'm the financial service business, there's something I do that you're like, hey, can you take a second look at this? Because eventually you're going to trust me enough, and I'm going to trust you enough that we're going to come back to one another because we built a relationship, and now we're welcoming business to one another.
100%.
So it's just natural. And it could be a restaurant. It doesn't matter what you do, right? It just always comes back to you do business with people you know, like, and trust. And that's what Al is doing on an accelerated pace, if done right.
Yeah, this is so great. I'm so glad you're able to join this show today, because this is something that years from now they'll be like, oh, there's a podcast about Al on the show. Who would have thought a year from now? Yeah, it happens. And sometimes I'm
Sure.
like, we plant those seeds, like you said, and when you plant those seeds, you don't wait to start growing money trees or start enjoying the shade a year after. Years from now, things are going to build, things are going to develop. The features we're talking about now may be completely different. They might be 5.0, in a couple of months.
You don't know, right? You look at, where Facebook is today, but before Facebook, there was MySpace.
Right.
MySpace was it. They're obviously not really in business. I guess technically they are. And then Facebook came out, and then Instagram. Really would have overtaken Facebook. Facebook bought them, right? And now we got TikTok dominating, the download charts, and then Clubhouse came out. So there's always going to be another one that steals, our eyeballs, right, and our attention. And you just don't know. Who knows if Owwll then one day takes over Clubhouse, right, and buys that social platform.
True.
Who knows? We could buy LinkedIn. Like, everyone thinks like, well, maybe not LinkedIn. They're both by Microsoft. But you don't know. You really don't, right? Yeah, it takes time to evolve. But I will say this. I mean, you're listening. If you're watching right now, you see the shrimp tank on here.
Yeah.
These are all business owners that came on my podcast. When I first started my show, we now do it at the FU College of Business. For the first 100 episodes, our guests would come in here and put a motivational quote and autograph it. And I can sit here comfortably telling you that we had people that had businesses with 5 people that now have hundreds of people working under their umbrella on the Inc. 500 list. And I could tell you one in particular that came on our show, person Jan Bender. He runs a company called Shipmunk. And he started at the College of Business, winning a little prize like $5,000-$10,000 to be in a competition. Then he went to the FEU Tech Runway, where he had the best mentors, helping him really accelerate, his business, create a business plan. How do you raise capital? All those things that, these startup founders need. And he built it with $50, right? He didn't go out and get a huge check. He just built it by shipping stuff, from his home country. And then inevitably what ended up happening is, the small business owner needed to compete with Amazon. How do we get stuff to people's houses? He figured it out. He was a coder, and all of a sudden it went from 200 people to 1,000 people to now thousands and thousands of people and warehouses the size of Walmart's. And he's got like 6 to 8 of them. I don't even know how many he has now. Maybe he has 12 of them, right? And he's in his low 30s, and that was built, a couple years ago, and his autograph's up here. So you just don't know. You don't know which brand will resonate that much and which founder will just keep going and going, because there's always that, like the founder who has something good but gives up at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And just last week we had the beverage brand Celsius, another great example. Celsius, it's the number 3 energy drink in the whole world, right? They just made a deal with Pepsi for $500 million. Their stock beat out Tesla's. He stated on the show. Cannot confirm it, but that's what he said. I believe it did, because I do remember him on television. So how neat is this that his brand was about to go under? It went public in like 2000, I forget, 13 or 15 he was saying, but then they delisted the stock, and then a big investor who actually is part of FAU, Carl DeSantis, he's a billionaire today, he literally infused a certain amount of capital into it. He believed in it when it was a penny stock, right? And this stock went up to around $100, and the energy space, no one said they could compete. No different than Owwll. Every person is going against us. You can't. I've been told this. You can't build an audio platform like Owwll, by bootstrapping. Every person has told me that, right? Because the amount of capital it takes to get, an app like this developed, but then who cares about developing it? Everyone could build it. How do you get people to actually sign up? How do you get people to actually come back after they sign up, right? But here we are sitting, and this is important for everyone listening. We bootstrap the entire brand from the ground up, right? So I'm running one brand, being a financial advisor, and putting a lot of my net worth into this day in, day out, and it's because I'm calling every individual. I'm pushing, and calling you. You were my first call, right? But that's what it really takes to get a brand like Owwll off there, and of course I want to share this platform with the world because I knew it needs to exist, right? There's a need, of course, we see, but of course I wouldn't let all those people, shoot me down. Like, what are you going to do? LinkedIn could do the same thing, or Facebook, right? They all could do this. And my answer was always like, well, they should have done it already then.
Right.
And if they want to compete, well, look what happened to Clubhouse and LinkedIn. LinkedIn Audio's out. It's doing nothing, right? So sometimes you just got to believe in it, go for it, and build a community, because the people who start in those early days will stay with you because they're a fan, right? And they're not going to just jump to the next platform. They'll always be the jumpers, right? But they're always going to be the ones that are like, no, I'm staying with Owwll. Owwll's the one that I started with and I'm staying with. And of course, they'll remember those first calls. Like, the founder was with me from the ground up. The founder referred me to somebody within the app, right, or off the app. So that's kind of just the whole journey of like connections. You just don't know who's going to be that next person to scale something, and you just don't want to burn bridges. Treat everyone kind, right, and don't always size them up. I see that way too much. We look at their following count. Okay, then I'll chat normal with you. You have low following count, your voice changes. Like, why? And it's so weird, right? Like,
yeah,
it just doesn't make so much sense, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and Owwll creates an equal playing field. You get in there, you just have a chat, one-on-one. There's no pressure because it's not being recorded, and it's not in a group setting. It's one-on-one, and we see that in life. Most people in one-on-one settings become who they are. They're not the bully anymore, right? They're just natural. They're nice. Most people are nice-hearted. It's the groups that take out, like, the ego in somebody, and they have to act differently, right?
Yeah, that is so true. I'm so glad and so privileged and honored and humbled that you were able to, share all this information with us on the Owwll app. And I know people are going to download this right away because they're going to learn more about it, and they're going to get more connections on top of what we talked about, and start discovering new people that they've never connected with, especially because you have your city connected. So if your city is there and you're in the same city, more likely than unlikely, you're going to connect with them just because of the city, and then from there build that relationship, and it can go a really long way. So I know that this app is going to help a lot of people get discovered and also discover other people they've never connected with before. So you doing this is a great service to the community at large, and I know that this is going to be a big success for you in the coming years to come.
Appreciate it. I love joining people, sharing the journey. And of course, connect with me on Owwll, right? I'm always on there.
Yeah.
As long as there's no one on there at like 10 o'clock at night, I'm driving home late. I'm like, I'll go live. Call me, right? And if someone else is live, and I see that they're new, especially new people, I always make it a point to get a call. If someone has 0 calls to 4 calls, you're live and I'm driving home or I'm driving to work, I call people, right? Because I'm not too important, just because I'm founder to be like, I got to stay away. I can't call people. I act cool. Right? No. I look at business the other way. I'm proud to call people and be their first call, regardless of who they are. It's awesome.
No, I appreciate that. I really do. Thank you so much for being here. If there's any way they can connect with you on the app, off the app, what are the options they have available?
Yeah, so best way is Owwll, right? I tell everyone, every message I get on LinkedIn, I'd love to have a one-on-one conversation with you. I go, I'm happy to. I'm available at Owwll. And I send them a link, and it's Owwll. If you're looking at up in the App Store or Google Play Store, we're available in the United States and Canada currently. One day we'll go internationally. And that's the best way. And if you absolutely can't get on the app for some reason, then feedback at owwll.com is another avenue. But again, if you ask for a meeting with me, it's going to go right back to you have to download, because my time is so sensitive. A lot of people try to jump on meetings with me. And I said, well, if you're not willing to take one step, which is an email and a password, and you're in the app in 30 seconds, literally, after we verify your email, why should I take my time to jump on a Zoom meeting with you? Right? Think about that. Right? That just means you're likely more of a taker than a giver, at that point. And then I just don't like it. So I always tell everyone, like, download it first, and then at that point, I even do demo calls where I'll jump on Zoom and Owwll simultaneously, because that's very helpful too. But I always make it a point now that that's the best way, and that way, I'm such a believer in what we built. So that way, I'm like, you'll see once you get in, because I've had so many people like, nah, it's not for me, and then they download it and like it blows them away. They're like, I didn't realize it was like this, right? Everyone says that. Like, I didn't know, like, followers, reviews, timers going, it's just so different, when you mention it verbally versus seeing it visually and then being on a real call with somebody. It clicks right away at that point.
That is so true. Wow. Thank you so much, Jason, for being here. You have tremendously helped us, and you've opened up a new level of communication that I know a lot of people are going to take advantage of and run with, which is going to benefit them and their business as a whole. So I really appreciate you. And I definitely look forward to bringing you back here so we can talk about the success story a year or two from now, God willing.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Hopefully it's like that story I mentioned earlier about the person on my podcast show. But again, it comes back to me learning from him and knowing that it's capable, right? You witness other people's successes, and I'm like, I could do that, right? And just believing in it. So I hope that, your episode 200, 100, whatever episode you're at that time, they'll bring me back as that featured episode, which is what I did with that individual at episode 100. So it's kind of funny.
Definitely. Cool. Amazing. Yeah. Thank you, Jason. And I definitely look forward to bringing you back. Thanks again, and have an amazing, amazing time.
Take care, everybody.
Take care.